From IBM TV, International Broadcast Media, this is The Lawyer's Den. This unique broadcast brings you in-depth discussions with American legal scholars to discuss the current issues facing our nation. I am Bill Tresvant, and along with my pleasant and yet understated Southern colleague, Nick Calavita, we're your co-hosts for this evening. Nick, will you please do the honors of introducing our guests?
Yes, the thing is, first of all, we're going to introduce our famous professor with his fan club hailing from Georgia. We'll bring in, and he also went to the University of Southern California, the Ohio State University, and an LLM from New York University. Let's bring in Adam Lamparello. Adam, welcome to the show.
Great to be here.
As a panelist again.
Thank you.
Your fan club has to wake up, and you always have to be nice to Adam because otherwise his fan club will come and pounce on you.
No, Nick, they send you E-flames. They don't send me E-flames. I think they like me. I think you're the only one they don't like, Nick.
I would totally agree, but that's because I'm obnoxious. And when I'm obnoxious, I need to hire lawyers to defend me. One lawyer who has done a good job in keeping me out of jail for many, many years, an attorney with an LLM from Salt Lake City and admitted before the Supreme Court of the United States. Let's bring in what I would say is the Honorable Jeff Teichert. Jeff, welcome to the show.
All right, Jeff.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good to be here again.
Okay. And we know that the Honorable Professor Beckett Cantley will not be here again today because he's still trying to recover from surgery. But a person who is today who's not recovering from surgery, a graduate of the Columbia University School of Law and also the Illinois Institute of Technology, and does appeals all the way up to the Supreme Court of the United States, and a chess master for all that's worth, which is worth a lot. And we'll bring in Frederick Ryan. Frederick, welcome to the show.
For you.
It's great. We had intelligence like you along with the panel, which is, like with opinionated panel like us. Okay, so it's good to have. And of course, we have the den master, Bill Tresvant, who tries to keep all the lions in line. I'm not sure how good of a job he does, but if he does a bad job, all I can do is say, please send him an email to that effect. Okay, so anyway, but
no. I have to get this done because the weekend has come and gone, and this is the first official. And I have my paper. I didn't know if the rest of the world had their paper. What do we have?
A miscarriage of justice.
Adam, can you read that for me, please?
Actually, I don't know how to read. Can you tell me what that says?
It's a miscarriage of justice. A miscarriage of justice.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm gonna change the background because of that.
I guess you got really going there.
Yeah, well, we had to. I don't know what else to do.
That was a fun show. In any event,
okay.
It has been quite the weekend, gentlemen. We had Biden inching along, and then suddenly, without any warning whatsoever, on Saturday, midday, or just before midday, all of the news agencies decided to declare, and yes, Nick, that is newspapers, declared that Biden was, in fact, the winner. And based on what the newspapers did, the television shows, your five major monopolies of television all declared Biden as the winner over.
That really gripes me, but go on.
And so we've got all the major newspapers, we've got the five major networks, and clearly IBM didn't issue anything because I was not.
We did. No. I told everybody before we went to bed on that night because we need to declare a winner. I said Biden was going to win. Go back and look at the recording.
No. But you went to bed at like 6 o'clock. Only Adam.
No, it was around 9 o'clock, and I said he was going to win. Then I went to sleep.
You ducked out for the early bird special at whatever diner you go to down there in North Carolina. And by the way, North Carolina still hasn't come up with their votes. I don't know why that they can't count. Did they all go to law school down there? None of them can count, Nick? But
no, they all went to law school, but they didn't graduate. I mean, that's the problem, down here. It's the way it is. But the thing is, I already said who was going to win. Right. I want a Diet Coke off of it. I mean, and even this, I don't know if you recall because you guys were asleep. You said, what are the two things that are going to happen over the weekend? I said two things are going to happen. Georgia's going to flip to blue. Go look at the recording. Did it flip to blue? Yes, I got that right. And Adam is going to run for president of the United States. And I haven't got that
Absolutely right.
one yet. I haven't got that one yet, but he's a young guy. But I
Yep.
got 1 out of 2, and the other one is yet to be decided. But I got I
Adam,
did the
you have
Georgia
a
call.
rare opportunity right now to make him look like a savant, either an idiot savant or just a holy savant. Which one is it going to be, Adam?
No, he's brilliant, and he's 100% correct. And I look forward to serving the American people as the probably 49th president of the United States.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to get both of them, Bill. I mean, the thing is, realize I had that call right. I called Georgia right. I'm calling Adam right. I mean, the thing is, I haven't missed one yet, and I've won 3 Diet Cokes off of this stuff.
Yeah.
And the last one I'm going to get is when Adam runs for president.
Well,
Because he's got the perfect thing. He teaches constitutional law at a school. I mean, a university. That was Obama's ticket to path to freedom. I mean, to the presidency. So he's already halfway there.
well, no, hang on. Actually, you won that portion of the bet because he made you a savant, not just an idiot. He said that he looks for the American people in 2024. So with that, let's go through some of the other ones. So, Fred, you predicted that Trump would either pardon himself or be pardoned by Pence. Not quite soon enough, right? So what are you thinking about that, Frederick?
Well, I didn't predict it would happen this weekend. I hasten to add this past weekend, but yeah, I still hold to that prediction. That would be the legally sensible thing to do to have Pence pardon him. That would at least avoid his federal exposure. But of course, Trump rarely does sensible things, so I could be proven wrong.
Okay. Now, Jeff, you had the blockbuster one that caught us all off guard last Thursday. You said that Melania leaves Trump, declaring him a loser. So, how are you feeling about that on a Monday?
That was a pretty cool one.
Well, as I recall, it was what was the most outrageous thing you could imagine happening out of this. So I don't know if that was exactly a prediction, but I wouldn't be surprised if she's calling him a loser and a sucker right now. But I don't have any inside information on that.
Well, then here, let me help you out, Jeff. Let me help you out, because there are stories breaking that there are stories that in Washington that Trump has 2 circles. Well, he has an inner circle that are divided into 2 camps, and one camp is trying to convince him that the end is nigh and that he should gracefully exit. And they're doing it by trying to suggest to him that there is an opening for him to run again in 2024, and that group, it consists of his son-in-law Jared and his significant other wife, First Lady Melania. Now, apparently, the children, meaning the adult sons, are arguing that he should fight on, young man, for another day. And him, along with Giuliani, giving that press conference in front of the lawn care facility in Philadelphia. I'm not sure which one's going to rue the day. I just want to go quickly around this because then we do have some other stuff to get into, but I can't have enough fun. How is it that the president just falls so low so quickly after Saturday? I mean, literally a press conference, not in front of Air Force One, not on the South Lawn of the White House, not anywhere else that he's used to doing, but in front of a lawn care business sandwiched in between an adult bookstore and what was the other one?
A crematorium.
Oh, okay, because I thought it was a liquor store. Either way, Frederick, why don't we start with you since you remember? I can't believe how far the campaign has fallen. Is it that they're out of cash or they just completely lost it, Frederick?
Well, I don't think the Trump administration has ever been competent, and this is just the final proof of that. I suspect that what happened was that Rudy Giuliani or some such person told one of his minions, call the Four Seasons and schedule a press conference. And this goofball ended up calling Four Seasons Total Landscaping instead. And they decided to go with that.
Do you know that, listen, oddly enough, that is somewhat plausible because, in the fog of a campaign, so get me the Four Seasons, and then some kid probably picked up the phone and dialed Four Seasons, and I think they were in Philadelphia thinking they were getting the hotel because the kid from out of state wouldn't even know the difference. Wow, Frederick, that is so insightful. Jeff, your thoughts?
Well, I listened to some of Giuliani's press conference. As I understand it, what he's claiming is that there were poll watchers that were not allowed, Republican poll watchers that were not allowed close enough to the ballots to be able to inspect them. If that is the case, that causes me concern. Do I expect it to affect the outcome or any recount to affect the outcome? Probably not. I would like to see it looked into just to make sure that we don't have issues there.
Okay.
I guess the thing that I think is silly about it is that Trump was saying for months before the election, I want my poll watchers in there, be very careful scrutinizing the ballots. And if somebody was actually blocking the poll watchers after Trump made a preemptive issue out of that, just nuts. But
Okay, well,
do I expect it to change the result? No.
Jeff, let me help you out because I'm really getting, I'm really getting an assist from whoever is behind the glass pulling this because they left me one-on-one with you for a moment, and that is this. Here was the issue with regard to the poll watchers in Pennsylvania. Yes, they had pre-clearance, and that the poll watchers were allowed in there, or the representatives of the campaigns were allowed in there to watch the polling people who were counting the ballots. But here is the difference. They were standing and they had these police barricades between them and the people that were counting the ballots, kind of like a security fence. And they complained in court saying that the police barricades were set 6 feet away and that was too far. And then the judge ordered the parties to negotiate, and that negotiation resulted in agreement to move the police barriers to 4 feet away. They gained 24 inches in that lawsuit, and then the judge dismissed the lawsuit. Now, Jeff, seriously, is it that we just should have gotten them bigger magnifying glasses when they were 6 feet? Or is it that they really needed the extra 2 feet, the 24 inches, to watch the counts? Particularly when they could have just looked at any television station because it's on close monitored television. Jeff?
Well, I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know what the size of the ballots were and all of that. So I don't know if there's any there or not. But I look at Trump has got to somehow fight a 5 or 6 front war to flip that many states to make this all work. And I have a hard time believing there's that much going on that he can turn 120 or 160,000 votes, whatever it would take, in all of those states by finding, ballots here and there. I know what he's claiming. I don't see it. I do think, though, if there were issues with poll watchers, it ought to be followed up and investigated. But do I expect it to change the outcome of this election? Nope, I don't think so.
Okay. Now, Adam, I'm gonna throw you. I think what do they call it? A changeup? Is that the pitch that you used to throw when you got your arm injured because you were? Well, did you actually have a changeup? Was it pretty good?
I had a good changeup. I had a good fastball too, but the fastballs would hurt my arm.
Oh, okay. Let's see. So clearly, you're
playing for the Yankees right now.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Well, see, maybe we'll get that. But here's the changeup. Okay. God, what was it? It was that give me a minute. I'm sorry, Nick. Go ahead. You disturbed me.
Of course I did. That's part of my job is to disturb the den master. You're on a roll here, and it's like you just love the fact that this guy is so busted. Like Frederick Grind, who's also a chess player, realizes when you're down 3 pieces and you're not going to resign, and you have no possibility win the game. And there are players out there like that. In other words, they'll keep playing with their little king moving around and until they get checkmated. And see, that's what's going to happen with this dummy. He's going to play around, then it's going to get mated. It'll be all over. I mean, December the 12th. But he's within his legal rights. Remember, you guys think, hey, the media called it. And everybody goes, oh, yes, the media is right. Look, it'll be called on, December 12th. And then it's officially over.
Okay, no, wait, because there's one important thing, and this was a change-up for you, Adam. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, in this big Byzantine portion of the transition of power and everything that you've got to do, there is a law that requires the head of the General Services Administration to sign off and say, hey, listen, we believe, based on the facts that are reasonably ascertainable out there, that this person has won the election and therefore we can release we can release the taxpayers' money so that they can move into government offices and then begin the program of the peaceful transition. They've got to survey the agencies. They've got to figure out what's going on. They've got to be briefed. But Trump has instructed his appointed head of the General Services Administration not to sign the one document, thereby holding up any possible way to even begin the transition. Is that fair, Mr. Originalist?
Well, it depends. It depends on whether there's any merit to the lawsuits that are alleging election fraud. And I'm not privy to those lawsuits, so I don't know if there's a credible factual basis for the allegations. What I do suspect, though, is that they'll be resolved fairly quickly and that the transition to President Biden will go smoothly. But speaking of today was just a wonderful day for President Trump. Pfizer came out with a vaccine that they say is going to be 90% effective, contrary to, of course, what Anthony Fauci said with his doomsday prognostications. And this is coming, and the stock market is up over 29,000, from a president that everyone said was oh so horrible. That president who presided over the lowest African-American and Hispanic employment rate before COVID, which he didn't handle nearly as badly as people say. So I don't think we have the worst president ever, and I do suspect he may run in 2024 and win.
I'm going to pull a Nick on it. I'm ignoring you and everything you just said. I'm going to ask the jury strike all of that from the record because all you know is that we have a new president. I'm going.
Wait! Before you dismiss this, Den Master.
Watch.
Before you dismiss this, Den Master, you got rid of Adam, but Adam might be right. Okay, he is right. Okay, wait. Time out. Adam is right. Back in. Okay, in case you don't realize it, Den Master, the stock market went up noticeably after the election. Pfizer comes out noticeably after the election. Yes. And the thing is, all the things before the election were total bogus. And everybody's pushing, oh, she's got to certify it. No, she doesn't have to certify it. It's December 12th, guy. Take your time. And here's the thing. If those lawyers are signing frivolous lawsuits, they need to be reprimanded by their bar association. They better have some evidence before the court, Bill. I know when I go to court, if I went to court and look, Your Honor, I have no evidence. I just believe something. They're subject to discipline by their bar association's counselor.
That's in your utopian world, 1, 2.
No, it's real world, buddy.
No, in the real world, there are actual impact and effects like irreparable harm, because any delay in the ability or the peaceful transition of power, including updates on top secret matters, could endanger the United States in terms of the new administration coming in. So it's absolutely preposterous to be holding up this other stuff. Even when Bush v. Gore was undecided, Clinton actually executed the transition authority to allow Bush and his team to actually begin their transition in case the courts ended up ruling in favor of Bush, which they did. So it's completely irresponsible for Trump, just as a little pet peeve in any way, shape, or form, to refuse to even allow the peaceful transfer of democracy, which I'm sure you're happy about because it undermines democracy and it makes us look absolutely impotent.
It's a republic, sir, number one. And number two, that's just your opinion, counselor. Okay, there's nothing in the record that shows it's factually, other than your newswire saying that he won the election. Now, of course, I want Biden to win the election because I got my Diet Coke off of it. But law is law, my friend. And just because your opinion is that we should shuffle on Biden in, that's not what happened. To my knowledge, counselor, not all the votes have been counted, have they, counselor? No, they haven't.
Well, that's because your people in North Carolina can't count, Nick.
Well, the thing is, then you need to wait your turn, counselor. Let's say hypothetically, although not realistically, all of them went in favor of Trump. Okay, then he's the next president, counselor. So just wait on your little heinies until December 12th when they bring the election in. I know you're so eager to get Biden in because it changes the whole world.
No. There's an actual reason, and it's not that I'm eager to get it in. I'm looking for some stability so we can get back to like the normal things, because currently we are just in an unstable state. And this is the issue. And Jeff, I'm coming to you. That listen, beginning tomorrow, the Supreme Court, which is now decidedly 6-3. Conservative leaning because of the shenanigans of the Republicans, and apparently they can't count either except when it comes to Supreme Court justices. But Jeff, the Affordable Care Act is up for re-argument in the Supreme Court tomorrow. And should they have every right to, Nick, they could tomorrow after oral arguments go ahead and just enter a bench verdict, which we know they're not going to do.
They never do that.
Should they strike it down? I want to make sure that we've got. Okay, Jeff, what are you thinking about the prospects of the Affordable Care Act tomorrow? And remember, there are 20 million lives hanging on what is now a 6-3 conservative court.
Well, I mean, I think it's impossible to forecast based on the past ruling, and because it's an entirely different subject. Even looking at what Justice Barrett said about the prior ruling and criticizing Chief Justice Roberts' reasoning, you know, I know a lot of people want to look at it together and just sort of consider that there was some kind of antipathy for the Affordable Care Act, and maybe that's forecasts what she's going to do in this case. I don't necessarily think that. I think it's impossible to know really where it's going to go. I'm going to be interested to listen to the arguments tomorrow and see kind of what justices, whatever tea leaves I can read in their comments. But I think it's going to be interesting to see at this sort of pivotal moment whether Biden is going to be able to build on the Affordable Care Act the way he campaigned, or if he's going to have to go back to the drawing board and start over. Because, I mean, the thrust of his campaign was to build on the Affordable Care Act. So,
okay, Frederick, do you think that the as not yet certified winning election results, but not winning election results, as some people here claim, I don't know why it's a waste of time. Do you think that those results, that is that Biden actually won the election and is the president-elect, will have an impact on how the Supreme Court looks at this issue with the Affordable Care Act?
No, probably not. I think the issue before the Supreme Court is severability. I think the argument that the Trump administration and other opponents of the law of the ACA, the so-called Obamacare, are making is that since the individual mandate has been done away with by Trump or by the Republicans, that then the entire law has to fall. And my understanding is that the court will probably reject that argument.
Oh, okay. So okay. All right. Adam, how do you think the Supreme Court, well, first, do you think, because remember, you were the big proponent that the robe bestows supernatural powers on those who adorn it, and that it changes their view, and that they take into context the actual real world impact. And so for that, you believe that we are about to see a brand new shining star in Justice Barrett. Do you think the Supreme Court will strike down the ACA or not, Adam?
No, I don't believe that the Supreme Court will. But the first thing I'd say is, just like Trump had a wonderful day today, it's a wonderful time to be at the Supreme Court because we have 6 justices who aren't going to be inventing rights from penumbras that rise up from the Constitution like Linda Blair did in The Exorcist. So we have actual real jurists now on the Supreme Court. And what I'll say about the ACA is, in my view, the issue is like what Frederick said, it's severability. But the real problem here was Justice John Roberts' decision in National Federation versus Sebelius when he found the individual mandate to be a tax. There was no basis for that, and that was a Griswold-esque decision. But I will say this, the Commerce Clause was a much closer question, and I could have seen it coming out in favor of upholding the ACA on the basis of the Commerce Clause. But I do think that the court's concern for institutional legitimacy will lead it to issue a political decision upholding the ACA, and I expect it to be 5-4.
Nick, what are you thinking?
Okay, dude, it's oral arguments. Okay, as you know, oral arguments, no decision's going to be made. They're going to sit and pontificate till May. So the thing is, in May or somewhere, then you're going to get a decision on it. But I agree with the rest of the panel.
Well, no, except Nick. I mean, this has a real world impact. Because, may I at least connect the dots for you, my LLM?
Sure, go ahead.
Please. My dear LLM Padawan, the point here is that if it sounds like the questioning from the Supreme Court justices are in any way indicative of the fact that they may indeed overturn it, that is to say, for the rest of us who are not LLMs, if it appears that the questions from the justices of the Supreme Court to the lawyers defending the ACA are indeed hostile, people will read the tea leaves and believe that the Supreme Court is going to overturn it. That, tomorrow will have an impact on the upcoming campaign for the 2 remaining Senate seats down in Georgia, because we will see a campaign with over $500 million poured into the state of Georgia talking about health care in case the Supreme Court overrules it. And then we need legislation from the House and the Senate, Nick.
Well, they're going to pour money into Georgia anyway, regardless of the ACA bill. I mean, and regardless of the people that want to read tea leaves into justices' questions.
Yeah,
If you,
tea leaves.
well, the thing is, if you guys want to go read the tea leaves tomorrow, go ahead. Okay, but the thing is, they're going to go to Georgia anyway with mountains of money, because we know that Professor Adam, soon to be President Adam, will
Thank you.
actually will control who's going to control the Senate. And it makes a big difference whether or not there's going to be judicial equity and Merrick Garland's going to be back on the court or not. But tomorrow it's much ado about nothing. It's oral arguments, Guy. That's it.
Okay. Well, then tomorrow, I believe it's actually later on this week. I'm not quite sure. The Supreme Court is going to take up, I guess, a freedom of religion case. In that there was a that was suing because the government was only allowing them to fill up half of the church hall, rather than was not allowing them to fill up the entire church rather than just half the church, which is what they were allowing businesses to do. What do you think of that, Nick?
Oh, you're asking me about that?
I am, Nick, because you clearly have. I mean, you predicted.
I have the insights. I just predict that. The thing is,
going blue.
Okay. I mean, the thing is, here's the reality of the situation. Bill, during COVID-19, I hate to say that, the thing is, religious freedoms have limits in terms of stacking and packing people into churches when there's a pandemic going on. I think it is the ability of the state to say, no, you can't go. And if it doesn't mean that you don't have your freedom of religion. You just can't jam people in like a bunch of sardines into a closed, non-ventilated church. Doesn't mean you can't practice your religion, but do like President Joe does. Everybody sits in cars outside. Notice he did that. A good example. So if you want to go to church, go sit in your bloody car like you do in a drive-in theater. So I hope that the Supreme Court rules in that direction. Of course, I don't know how originals think it like that, like Professor Adam, because maybe they shouldn't be touching this issue at all.
No. We're going to Jeff first, because I want
to go to Jeff. Yeah,
Jeff. I mean, first, Jeff, what happened to the defense that, hey, listen, they want to do it. If they want to pack themselves into church like the Democrats want to pack the Supreme Court, why can't we just allow them to do it and allow the Democrats to do the same? Adam, we're coming to you. But Jeff, why can't we just allow them to do it?
Well, let's start with the lay of the land on what the law is on this as currently understood. I believe the governing case is Oregon Employment Division versus Smith, which has been roundly criticized since then. It was sort of supplanted, but not really, by the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. The case basically said that if you have a generally applicable law that does not specifically target religion for special discrimination, that law will not be found to violate the free exercise clause of the First Amendment. In other words, if there's a law that specifically bans the use of wine for sacramental communion, all right, that would be unconstitutional because it specifically targets a particular religious practice. But if it bans the use of wine in general, then, the fact that may specifically burden Catholic sacraments would not necessarily, I mean, I'm making this up. The actual facts of the case were P.O.D for the Native American Church. But because it targeted P.O.D along with a whole bunch of other drugs, and it wasn't specifically targeted to the Native American Church, it was found to not violate the free exercise clause of the First Amendment. So how does that apply in the current situation? Well, it would seem that churches may be getting disparate treatment compared to regular businesses, and under Smith even may not survive a First Amendment challenge. I wonder if this case could be used to overrule Smith. However, the idea would be going back to Wisconsin versus Yoder, the previous governing case, which basically said that religion and religious practice has an exemption from laws that are generally applicable, as long as there is not a compelling governmental interest and that the alternative chosen by the government is the least restrictive possible alternative to achieve that interest. Now, and that's what we call heightened scrutiny or strict scrutiny. You may hear those words used during Supreme Court confirmation hearings. And that was the old rule, a much more stringent standard than what was adopted by the Supreme Court in Smith. In that case, would there be a reason for the Supreme Court to compelling governmental interest? Well, a worldwide pandemic, some people would say that the government has a compelling interest in arresting the spread of the pandemic. Is banning people from churches the least restrictive way to achieve that? Let the Supreme Court take that one up. It'll be interesting to hear. And given the circumstances, I don't expect them to use it to overrule Smith, although I would like them to.
Okay. So we've heard from one originalist, and Frederick, I'm coming to you next. So I'm really going to need you to back me up on these arguments. But Adam, you're the other originalist. Do you concur with your colleague Jeff?
Yes, I do, and I would just make 3 points. Jeff is exactly right. The first point I'll make is that, yes, Employment Division versus Smith is arguably the governing case, which holds that generally applicable laws that only incidentally burden religious practices do not violate the Free Exercise Clause. There's another way to possibly look at this, though, and that's through the lens of Church of Lukumi Bay versus Hialeah, in which the court held that a ban on animal sacrifice in Florida was unconstitutional because the record revealed that it was being used to target a particular religion. If it can be shown that this restriction is somehow targeting or disproportionately impacting religion, that might be a basis to overturn it without overturning Smith. But the third point I'd get to is similar to what I've said before. The Free Exercise Clause is really ambiguous on this issue. And as I've said before, when a provision is ambiguous, I would defer to the legislature. I would not have even gotten involved in this case.
Oh, so then this would have been one of those cases that you would have denied cert on had your...
I would have denied cert because, like Jeff just said, he said, well, is it the least restrictive means? Well, I guess that's up to the justices. Well, I would have the same reaction. I'm not sure. And when I'm not sure and the Constitution doesn't give me an answer, I would defer. This is, again, the Supreme Court getting involved where, in my view, it has no business intervening.
Okay, what do you think to our audience, Adam? That was just purely speculation. He's really a robot. You know, when you go and you sign into the internet, it says, are you a robot? And you check, no, I'm not. Actually, Adam is, because he says, I don't know. Well, if I don't know, I'm going to deny cert. It's an automatic default. Now, Frederick, can you please add some sense to this discussion with us? That clearly, we've got two I don't knows from the originalists on our panel. Frederick?
I don't know how much additional enlightenment I'm going to be able to provide. I actually would be inclined, for once, probably the only time ever, to agree with Adam that this sort of determination should be made by the legislature. I don't think the legislature's determination was off the wall, and I think the court should leave it alone.
I think I've just been sidelined. Nick, can you, because I'm wounded here, please?
Well, I agree with President Adam, of course. I mean, if I disagreed, his fan club would hit me with e-flames, but also he's right. I mean, for because the thing is, cert denied. They have really business to attend to, rather than listen to some wingnut saying, well, I've lost my freedom of religion, when I really didn't, because I can't pack myself in with a bunch of sardines. And I think Jeff eloquently stated the case. I mean, the thing is, they're not targeting any religion. They're just saying we don't want more than 250,000 people to die. But Bill, it's going to go probably 300,000 more. That's all. They just don't want people to die. And they've already shown that one way that it spreads is having elections where people don't wear masks, elections where people are so enthused about their winner that they come out in droves and spread the coronavirus. It's nonpartisan. And also they go In other words, the Democrats did that one, my friend. Republicans do it too. So it's nonpartisan. And then the thing is, and then we're going to pack ourselves in like sardines on Sunday. And then, oh my Lord, we have 10 million people and people are dropping like flies. What a bloody surprise. But I agree with Adam. Cert denied. Let's go to work and do something productive. Thank you, Adam.
Boy, this is
Thank you.
a tough crowd tonight. I mean, that
Cert denied, baby.
I'm abstaining. So this was a 4-0 decision. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Just because you guys think that that was going to somehow confuse me and that we didn't have another item on the agenda, absolutely not. On our docket, we have, and let me just check, fellas, in this little book on our docket, the coming overuse of the executive authority and executive orders. Biden has announced 72 days ahead of him taking office, in his first day in office, he is going to sign so many executive orders. He is going to turn back and change and revoke every single change that Trump has made on EPA laws, directives, from immigration to the environment to healthcare to you name it. Anything that was done by Trump by way of executive order, Biden's team is currently drafting their executive orders to reverse all of it, which is probably one reason why the Trump administration won't allow them to use taxpayer-funded typewriters just yet in order to print off the mountains of documents that Biden is going to sign. Now, gentlemen, clearly at some point, this flurry of paperwork and literature is going to hit the Supreme Court, regardless if it's cert denied or not, because it is going to be a question of whether or not it's an overuse of executive authority. What are we now going to look at with regard to the Supreme Court, if anything at all, with regard to this issue, overuse of executive authority? Frederick?
Good question. Yeah, I agree with you that President Biden is going to be issuing a lot of executive orders, especially if Mitch McConnell keeps control of the Senate, since Mitch McConnell is going to otherwise obstruct everything that President Biden is going to do. How the Supreme Court will look at that, I don't know. I mean, they have a conservative majority, so they might not look kindly on it.
Okay. Jeff, what do you think?
Well, we've talked about executive orders quite a bit on this program, and my opinion is the same whether the person doing it is a Republican or a Democrat. I don't like it either way. I think Article 1 of the Constitution puts all legislative power in the hands of the Senate and the House of Representatives, and that's where I think it belongs. I thought that the Chevron decision was wrongly decided, and whether the administrators writing rules for agencies that far outstrip and redefine what statutes say, I disagree with that, whether the administration is Republican or Democrat. I think you're right that future President Biden is going to attempt to undo a lot of what President Trump has done with executive orders. I think he's going to be churning them out fast in the first 100 days. And I don't think he's going to pass much legislatively during that period of time. I also think, I hope the Republican Party turns the page on Trump at this point. I mean, I think he had a shot and he did some good things. But I want to see the policies carried forward with a less flawed messenger. And my choice would be Nikki Haley. But 4 years down the line, nonetheless, I understand the appeal by some for Trump to come in and run for a non-consecutive term. He'd be the first person since Grover Cleveland to make that happen if he does. But I think he comes with big pluses, but also with big minuses, and I don't want to see him do that. So let's turn the page on Trump, live with Biden for 4 years, and find another path.
I think you're muted, Bill.
You're muted, Bill.
Sorry, Nick. I'm coming to you right now. That is because I'm going to switch it up on you just a bit. And it's not just the sweeping range of the potential executive orders. It's going to be essentially what they're beginning to call the whiplash foreign policy, because Biden has indicated through just by any means that he has, that he is going to single-handedly do a 180-degree turn in America's foreign policy, from re-entering the Paris climate accords to re-upping with the or sitting down at the table of the nuclear thing with Iran. I mean, Nick, what are you going to make of it? How are we ever going to, portray any kind of stability to the world with all this going on?
Oh, I'm totally favor of executive power, as opposed to my colleague Jeff Teichert, who wants the legislature, the do nothing Congress, which has been going on for decades, 535 people who can't make any decisions. They've already proven it. They're Athenian democracy in a tiny little mud hole that you have in Washington, D.C. Part of it is the U.S. Senate, part of it is the House, and none of them can get anything done. You need to have a strong executive. So even though I disagreed with Trump's crazy decision, he had the right to do it. Biden will have the right to do it. It shows the efficiency of a dictatorship over democracy. They can actually get things done, Bill, where your do nothing Congress isn't going to do jack. And I hope my originalist professor Adam also agrees with me, because he's not a big fan of democracy either.
Nick, you so
But
set.
then he's a originalist, so I don't know which way he's going to go.
You so set me up. You knew I was going to Adam.
I know. Well, I'm trying to enroll him on my side and not get e-flames from his
I had
from his fan club.
my passport, Nick. I had to go to Adam. He was my one square, and you set me. Fine, Adam, please have your say. Shall I start calling you Your Honor, Mr. President, or just Your Excellency, or Your Holiness? What?
And any of those
Any
would
of
be
those are
acceptable.
acceptable.
Yes,
Okay,
any of those are
that's good.
acceptable. But what I will say first is that I'm shocked and appalled that Jeff would choose Nikki Haley over me for 2024. I will get over it. I will get over it. Well, my view on executive orders is the Supreme Court has to set forth some workable standard to discern which executive orders are permissible and which are not. And it hasn't done so yet. So I'm not sure that without a cohesive jurisprudence that it's going to improve the situation anything significantly. What I would say, though, is that I am not as opposed to executive orders as Jeff is. I think Clinton versus New York was wrongly decided. The court should have never taken that case, and the line item veto should have been upheld, as it was passed by both branches and signed by the president, and the Constitution was ambiguous, even silent, on whether that was permissible. If you want to keep democracy, instead of having a benevolent dictator or a board of intellectuals, make it more efficient. That's the way to make it more efficient.
Hear, hear.
Wow.
There we go, Adam.
Okay.
I'm going to bring Adam closer to me because we agree. We'll send Jeff over in the corner.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I like Jeff, so I'm going to put Jeff up in the corner. So
put Fred in the corner.
Frederick, you're over there. I'm putting Jeff in that corner. Listen,
Okay.
and I kind of, okay, well, fine. No. We are not going to play this game, Nick. I mean,
we're going to get a 3-2 majority here on that issue, Bill. But
yeah,
I mean, whether you like it or not, Biden is going to throw executive orders out and reverse a lot of Trump's decisions, and he has every right to do so. He won, or he will win on December the 12th. Okay, and so the thing is, the winner. This is America. Winner takes all the bananas, and everybody else goes bye-bye. So the thing is, the rest of them can kiss it goodbye.
Okay, well then let me ask this for the panel, and I mean this in all seriousness. You know, there's been a great deal of chatter all across the airwaves, and I guess the issue is fundamentally serious. We may crack jokes and we may check out what the limits of the law are, and indeed, we're all trained to vigorously advocate for our clients and their positions, regardless of what the rest of the world may think, because it's really about justice. However, in these circumstances, since it's unlike 2000 Bush v. Gore, when they were actually talking about a recount and various states' rights and such, this is a situation where, don't you think that the president ought not to litigate issues unless he actually has evidence? And up till now, all they put out are mere allegations, and every single time they filed cases based on mere allegations, the cases have been dismissed. And so we have a whole lot of nothing but hot air right now. Don't you think that there's a higher calling for the president not to cease and desist with regard to frivolous lawsuits? Who wants it? Nick, do you want to start or you want to end?
Well, the thing is, we don't know if they're frivolous or not. I mean, he's making allegations, but I will tell you that the attorneys that are putting this forth without any form of evidence should be subject to discipline. I mean, the thing is, you just don't go to court based on allegations with no evidence whatsoever, Bill.
Nick, in fact, I mean, they are some of the this nation's largest and most well.
And those ones need to be disciplined the hardest, Bill.
Okay, well, see, I'm not going to mention the names, although their names are out there. But I mean, the issue is that they are, the highest, most well-respected white shoe law firms out there, and for white shoe, those are the people.
And that's the problem with the profession, is that you're supposed to look up to these blue blood law firms that are basically mistreating the law. A regular lawyer wouldn't get away with it. You just file a suit. Well, then I'll go find evidence later. You better find the bloody evidence, counselor. And what they need to do, the judges need to get off their rear and pull out that contempt of court. Whack. That'll stop that stuff real quick.
Okay, Frederick, what are your views on this? I mean, first, do you agree with Nick in any way, shape, or form? Second, is there a higher calling that the president has on the way out for the sake of the nation? Or if you have some other thoughts, maybe.
I agree with Nick. You shouldn't file frivolous lawsuits.
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of basic. They teach you that in law school. You shouldn't just make allegations with nothing to back them up.
Yes.
And as for the president, I mean, he's told about literally. I mean, it's been counted by the Washington Post and others. And Daniel what's his name? Daniel Dressner. So something like 25,000 lies as president, and he continues to do so by making all these false, unsubstantiated claims of massive voter fraud. And the noble thing for him to do, like John McCain and Mitt Romney and other folks who lost an election, is to admit, yes, I lost the election fair and square, and I wish the incoming president the best, and I hope he does a good job for the American people. Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jeff, what do you make? I mean, is there a responsibility by a higher responsibility by an attorney? And what I'm going to get to, and I'm going to ask about Giuliani specifically in a second, but what I want to get to, and that we all know, is that when we are sworn in as attorneys, we're also officers of the court first. And so we have an affirmative duty to the court, even above our client, to not somehow denigrate, besmirch, smear either the profession or justice itself, the court, the legal processes, things of that nature. Now, what do you make of the peculiar case of Rudy Giuliani and his advocacy on behalf of President Trump?
Well, I didn't hear the entire press conference. My understanding of the evidence he had on the poll watcher issue was he had 25 affidavits that he had submitted from poll watchers. He said that he had interviewed 50 of them, and he had found the same story with all of them, that they all said they couldn't see the ballots. I think we're going to find out whether there's anything to that. Will it change the number of votes he would need to change in Pennsylvania to, through some kind of a recount to win the election? I doubt it.
No, but Jeff, I want to ask more specifically. I mean, with Giuliani, it's been like this repetitive pattern of going in saying he was going to charge and that he was going to file something, whether it was with the alleged evidence uncovered on the alleged Hunter scandal, that he was in court and he was filing these papers. I mean, he is just like a one man. He's a lawsuit filing machine, regardless of whatever it is. And so far, he has come up with bupkis, and he's doing it again. And do you think that he should be held to a higher standard under his oath of office as an officer of the court?
Well, I think his filing of lawsuits has to pass muster under Rule 11. Certainly, has he made a case that is non-sanctionable? I don't know. I haven't seen the documents and I haven't seen the evidence. I suspect he's an experienced enough attorney and has a big enough cadre of people working for him that he's not going to file something that's entirely frivolous. But we'll see.
Right.
Okay, and that's just perfect because you know what I did, Adam? I reversed it because I'm coming to you, just like Nick favored you. I want Nick to get some E-frames because I'm blaming you. You're going to blame, and your people are going to blame this question all on Nick because he set you up. Here I have in you. You ready? I have a big firm lawyer. That is you, Adam, having worked 5 years at these white shoe law firms. I have a highly intelligent LLM in constitutional law in you, Adam. Okay. I have a liberal originalist, Adam, which means your sense and sensibility would suggest or would seem to indicate that you believe that there's a higher calling, and or if not a higher noble calling, you at least believe in the oath of an officer of the court that every attorney takes. Now, do you think that Giuliani, who, because you were from New Jersey, who's just across the river, is engaging in one of those scurrilous types of behavioral programmed activity that gives lawyers a bad name, besmirches the judicial system, and undermines at this point our very democracy? Adam, as a law professor, please. You're teaching young kids these days.
Well, I was just going to say the first part of your question was great because you said so many nice things about me. So you should lead every show off like that. So, but aside from that, maybe that's the answer. The answer is maybe. And I agree with Jeff. I'm not privy to the factual basis for the allegations. So not having known that, not knowing that as an officer of the court, it's not my job to speculate or come to premature conclusions without analyzing the facts. And, like Jeff said, we have Rule 11 so that he can be sanctioned, and very well maybe if these are not credible allegations. But as an officer of the court, I'm going to reserve judgment until all the facts are known and can be analyzed thoroughly.
Listen, okay, we're going to just ask the panel this quickly. We can demur and we can defer and we can abstain for right now because on these particular facts, because we can hide behind the issue that we don't know them. That's a legitimate place to hide for those, that are ostriches. But in fact, I'd like to start a discussion and ask, should we be actually sparking this conversation in our colleagues who are going to be wrapped up in all this other stuff that are potentially doing long-term harm to the United States over issues that are for nothing? And do you think that at least our colleagues ought to be thinking about that, Adam? Because I think we all took courses in law school called Ethics 101. And then I'm coming to you, Nick.
President Trump has the right, like every other citizen has the right, to invoke the legal process to seek redress for harms if in fact they occurred. And I don't believe that we should be prejudging it or imputing motives to Trump or prejudging the merits of the lawsuits without knowing the factual basis for them. So that's why I'm hesitant to do so. But I am for allowing every citizen, including the president, to invoke the legal process when they have a viable claim. And that may or may not be the case here.
Nick?
Long-term harm to the United States? What are you smoking? There's no long-term harm to the United States because this person's exercising his legal rights. Of course not. So I totally agree with Professor Adam and also Jeff. We don't have the evidence in front of us. Okay, purportedly Giuliani has the evidence. Until you see the evidence, you can't render a decision. However, if they don't produce any evidence and it's smoke and mirrors and gun, then yeah, the courts need to lay on the attorney. But unfortunately, we don't have privy to that unless you have copies of the complaints and the affidavits, Bill. If you don't, but long-term harm? No, there's no long-term harm. The election ain't over till it's over. It'll be over on December 12th.
Frederick.
It's December 14th, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. December 14th.
The first Monday after the second Wednesday in December, bizarrely enough.
Okay, so it'll be over December 14th. In the meantime, you can cry all you want, but they have till December 14th to do something.
I mean, obviously, any litigant, including President Trump, has the right to file lawsuits, and those lawsuits should be backed up with actual evidence. And so far, he's produced none, apparently, because his lawsuits keep getting thrown out again and again. So, it would be great if he could actually file something meritorious, but that seems not to have happened as yet, and I'm not holding my breath that it ever will.
Mm-hmm. Oh wait, Bill, you're
muted, Bill.
Jeff, do you think that there's a higher duty?
Do I think it's a higher duty
Yeah.
for him to bow out? That was the tack that Richard Nixon took in 1960 in an election that I think was probably more genuinely disputed. I mean, there were a lot of dead people voting in Illinois, and Joe Kennedy's mob connections had something to do with that. But does he have a duty to stand aside and accept the result that the media called? I don't think so. I think he has every right to pursue this if he wants to. I also think, though, there's going to come a point when there's an end to it. And if he wants to take Adam's suggestion and run for president again, I'm thinking about the election of 1824. It was thrown into the House of Representatives, and Henry Clay, who was the Speaker of the House, ended up making things turn out well for John Quincy Adams.
Right.
And what happened 4 years later? Andrew Jackson, the guy that Trump really admires, comes back. Oh, by the way, Henry Clay winds up Secretary of State under John Quincy Adams. And Andrew Jackson comes back and argues that there was a corrupt bargain.
That's right.
And that Henry Clay, that Henry Clay had made a deal with John Quincy Adams, which he probably did, to make the election come out for him in return for being named Secretary of State. Now, what could Trump do? I mean, he's got a creative little mind. There's all kinds of things he can say about fake news, about all the election, all the corruption that went into this. He could come back in 4 years and talk about all this later, but the only way he does that is if he punts now. So, is he going to try something like that? I don't know, but his best chance is to punt, to say, look, I can see the forces arrayed against me are too great for me to overcome right now. We'll see you in 4 years. And then he comes back and runs against the corrupt bargain. That's his best shot at becoming president.
Oh my God! You almost had me convinced. That piece of Trump is a martyr. You and Adam are killing me here. Trump is a martyr. Oh,
Poor Trump.
Nick, can you please add some sense to this? As my time during this hour is coming to an end.
Well, I mean, the thing is, he is a martyr, as we well know. If you ask him, the thing is, he in his 70 million followers. Okay, so the thing is, he does have a big following in this United States of America, Bill, and you're just going to have to get over it in that mud pool in Washington D.C. That there are a lot of people out here that just really don't like how the country has been run. And the thing is, I hate to say that, he would be elected if he didn't just completely bananaed COVID-19, but COVID-19 hit him right in the gut. And rather than appointing a group of doctors, which your president-elect is doing, which is the right thing to do, I thought that was great. He has 3 doctors to head up the pandemic team. He appointed Pence, who has no medical background whatsoever. That cost him the election. So if the guy wants to know why he's not in office, he needs to look in the mirror, and that was the person that threw him out of office. The mirror.
Well, actually, I think if he looked in the mirror, he might see a bright orange reflection. But hey, that's unnecessary.
Yeah. But the thing is, he caused his own demise, Bill, and everyone knows it. He had it and he lost it.
Okay, I wanted to, before I hand it back over to you, Nick, so that you can land this plane, I wanted to take a moment and say congratulations to one of our own, and that is, I was duped there for a minute because I thought that today would be a fantastic day for me, and it's probably for a reason that many of you did not think. I happened across a posting on Facebook in which our very own Jeff indicated that he had just become a member of the Washington Bar. Now, me, in a fit of glory and joyous celebration, I posted and I said, "Welcome to the swamp, my friend. I'll take you out to lunch." Whereupon Jeff said, you wrote back and said,
I said that it was the Washington State Bar. Yes, I was a member of the Washington State Bar for several years. I allowed my membership to lapse. I've always regretted it. So I jumped through the hoops to to get it active again. And so I'm happy to say that it is.
Okay.
Very good.
That I was once again welcomed into my loneliness here in the swamp. One ray of hope, Jeff, definitely at the altar. Can you land this plane, please?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for going to Lawyer's Den, and we'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully, Professor Cantley and Guidry will join us tomorrow on Lawyer's Den, and I'm sure we'll have some exciting topics, and we always will have exciting topics as long as Trump is in office.